We're on Daniel in the Den. Is it already recording?
Oh yeah, it's recording.
That's what it is.
We're
going BTS on this, behind the scenes. This is how we are before we start.
Yeah, that's how it is. And Farai, my man, dude, I freaking love you, bro. Gosh dang, I love you. I still remember the first day I ever freaking ran into you. List of Pros, my man Jordan. Thank you both for being a part of this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful process of bringing the C2 way to the world.
Amen.
Farai is a freaking gangster.
Farai's a gangster, dude. That guy's
a straight gangster.
Legit, bro. Like, just casually throws out, like, oh yeah,
I'm a rocket scientist.
Like astrophysicist.
He's got an aerospace engineering degree.
Engineering, yeah. I'd be like, yeah.
Just casually, he worked at Raytheon building rockets. Why not?
I freaking love you, buddy. You're the man. All right, we're gonna breathe for 3 minutes. You can breathe with us if you want. Let me in. Why not?
Yo, if you're watching this, breathe.
It's all about opening your heart, connecting your mind. We call this the Yahuwah breath. Sunshine energy. Open your heart, connect your mind. There you will find you are divine. You and me are energy. Ascension. Open your heart, connect your mind. There you will find the divine. Energy is the way to be free. Free flow, why not?
Why the heck not, man?
Awesome.
This is Chris with Daniel in the Den. This is Daniel, and this is the Den.
This is the Den.
We got a special guest in the building.
Oh, a very, very, very special guest in the building. The one and only Raquel Lines.
Hello there.
You're amazing.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for being here with us. I can't wait to dive into this with you and be able to share with the world this divine connection. A brother and a sister that got to know each other a year ago.
Yeah, not quite.
Not even a year.
Not even August.
Yeah, August will be a year. Wow, what a divine last 11 months. Wow,
I agree.
Awesome. And Raquel is my business partner and co-creator of the C2 Way, which is launching
this
in
week.
real time this week. Freedom Week. We had a target to launch on July 4th. We got pretty close. And
the month of July is really freedom.
The month of July is a month of freedom. And that's what Daniel and the Den is all about. Is about freedom from mental slavery, freedom from heavy emotions, limiting beliefs, reactionary behaviors, lack of identity, lack of self-confidence, living in shame and guilt, but rather, let's set ourselves free. Let's open our hearts, connect our minds.
Yeah.
Let Me In. It's the irony behind that song. The name of that song is Let Me In. And those words just came to me a few months back of opening your heart, connecting your mind.
Love it.
That is the way to freedom.
We're not gonna edit that out. We're gonna let that flow.
What part?
The whole breathing and the music and
We'll see what Farai says.
Farai, I'm campaigning. Please let my people stay.
Oh man, but really though, we are so grateful that you're here with us. We're grateful for your countless hours of helping compile all of the years of knowledge and experience that has led us to this place where we've been able to bring to life this creation that, and we'll dive into. Well, actually, let me give a little backstory of how 18 months ago, as I've been in this inner wrestle of, I had defined myself as Danny, the real estate guy, for my whole life, business career-wise, and was going through this wrestle of like finding purpose and what I was doing, and feeling this need to, as I've gone through and had experienced life, and was led to the yoga studio, was led to meditations and Joe Dispenza, and learned about ascension of breath and how you connect your heart and your mind and open up these different parts of the body. And I'm sitting there being like, this is the most incredible information that I need my children to understand these concepts. Like, I got to put together a curriculum. That was the thought and feeling I was having. I'm like, all right, I'm in. How am I going to do it? Well, Dr. Joe says all you got to do is have a vision of the future and combine that with elevated emotions of inspiration and joy. And then it comes to you. I was like, all right, I'm in. I'm going to do it. So every time I would feel, and Vanessa Bird, I love you, Vanessa, by the way, I love you. She can attest to this. I would be sitting there in my office trying to like do what I used to do and just grind and connect dots and do deals and whatever. And I could not do it. Like, I physically couldn't make phone calls. I couldn't send emails. I could not do the things that I used to do. And when I would feel those feelings of anxiety and whatever, I would go up into the meditation room at the Zen Den, and I would hold a vision of the future, and I would combine it with inspiration and joy. I would ascend my breath. I would engage my perineum, lower abdomen, upper abdomen, going through these Joe Dispenza meditations, which we'll put a link in this video to some of those, because that guy is incredible. And that's what I did for 6 months. And I would meditate, and I would believe. I had no idea how this curriculum was going to come together. I even have a podcast with Laura Morby, who's going to be in the hot seat here a little bit, about a year ago, where I told her, look, I'm putting together this curriculum, and I don't know how, but it's coming together. And that was 6 months, and about a year ago now, June, July, that altar call Instagram campaign that came across for spiritual entrepreneurship, and I had this, I don't do Instagram much, and I definitely don't click on ads on Instagram, and I definitely don't click on ads on Instagram and take phone calls from the salespeople. But yeah, my soul was calling me like, you got to go to this experience. And I was just like, all right, okay, here we go. And at that time, my back was against the wall financially. Like, it was a bigger financial burden that I was like, I don't know. I need to go to this. And so I went. And that's where we met. And lo and behold, you had been working on a curriculum.
Yes.
So with that intro, that's my backstory, side of the story, and like, please tell us about you.
Yeah, tell us about you. We know a bit about you, but let's let the world know a little bit about you. Let's start your early days, and then we'll sync it to where you guys met, your side of where you guys met, and where you're at going on today.
Okay. Well, I'm Raquel Lines, and I grew up here in Mesa, and I was raised by a single mom that always kind of struggled financially, so I always kind of felt like, okay, I got to make a plan. I need to go to school, go to college, and then get married, and then go to graduate school, and then I'll have kids. And so I just really kind of set that plan into motion, and that's kind of exactly what I did. Mm-hmm. And so, so I went into exercise science was my undergraduate degree, and physical therapy. I went to graduate school for physical therapy. And so I was checking all those boxes in lifestyle, exercise, and nutrition. And my mom was kind of probably the number one component to like living authentically in holistic eating and going out to the sun and drinking water and getting proper rest, and kind of those 6 best doctors in the world. So if I wasn't feeling well or I had a bad day at school, she'd be like, well, how did you sleep last night? And how much water have you drinking? And your body is made mostly of water, and maybe go have a glass of water. And so that's been kind of a running joke, even down to my children now. When my kids were little, if I would come home from work kind of stressed, I'd say, hey, I need 5 minutes to just go unwind after working. And I would get a note under my door in my bedroom, and it would be a glass of cold water and say, hope you feel better after having some cold water. So kind of that tradition came from my mom down to my kids. So now my kids are like heavy gallon drinkers here in Arizona because it's so hot. So we try and get that gallon of water a day. But anyway, so as a physical therapist and working with people on healing injuries and chronic pain, which is not just a physical experience, it's kind of a whole body experience, mental, physical, spiritual, energetic. It's a whole body experience when you're in chronic pain. And I started to notice some trends in different systems of physical therapy, of like functional movement systems really prioritize breath work. Medical therapeutic yoga prioritized breath work. Postural restoration, breath work. Functional range conditioning, breath work. So I really started to incorporate some mindfulness and breath work in my treatment strategies probably about 20 years ago or 15 years ago. My yoga journey started 20 years ago, physical therapy 27 years ago. And so I've kind of been in this space for a long time, and just as I've come to kind of want to help more people live in peace and love and joy, I started to really delve more into that integrative lifestyle medicine and mindfulness and breath work to help people to be able to live in this chaotic world of distractions with more peace and joy in their life. So that's kind of my background professionally. And then so I started to think about this connected corporate culture idea of rolling out a wellness program for corporations and helping them feel better. And so when we feel better physically, mentally, energetically, we usually perform better in our jobs for productivity and creativity. So I started to kind of work on developing a curriculum for that when I also got the ad from Altar Call.
So that's when you first started.
Yeah, no, I had been.
How long ago did you get going on that?
Probably about 10 years. I've been
10 years, okay.
Compiling the
just
content
10
around.
years kind of working with dental professionals. I did some, burnout, preventing stress and preventing burnout in the healthcare
With some dentists.
sector with a lot of dentists, regular dentists and periodontal office I've done a lot of work for.
Okay.
And so working in with their staff in creating better ergonomics, better brake systems. So working in that small confined space of the mouth, they're often in awkward postures. So for them, that physical therapy component of ergonomics training and how they are sitting and common exercises that I see that the dental industry has, or the common exercises that help the dental industry. I kind of composed a booklet of exercises if people are having neck issues, back issues, shoulder issues, to kind of do at work even to help prevent pain from coming on if they were experiencing some pain. So did some like lunchtime education classes for them. And so that was super fun and fulfilling. And so I wanted to kind of scale that a little bit and do something more with that mindfulness factor.
And then when you saw the after call ad,
Altar call
ad, where were you at in your life?
Okay.
What was going on in your life to make it so you see an ad come across that made you say, you know what? I'm going to click on this. Because same wise with Danny, I'm definitely the type of person that's like, you see them all the time, but you never freaking click on them.
No.
Right. And I was in the same. Like, I'm not on Instagram that much. It's a journal for me. I like to look back and, document my life experiences or highlights. And so, it's definitely not something I would normally do of clicking. But earlier last year in 2023, in January, my daughter went through a little bit of a mental health crisis, just like a panic, anxiety. There was some things happening with her friends that she was witnessing, and she's an empath by nature, completely feels other people's pains and kind of takes it on herself. And she's been working on learning to kind of still support her friends but not feel all their pain, but she wasn't quite there yet at that time.
Was she in college at that time?
In college, yep. There's something about the second year of college. First year, something happens the second year of college, and I don't know, there was this shift in her mentally where she was really going through hard things, and she reached out and wanted some help and wanted me to take her to a mental health facility. We were doing breathing together. She's very, fit and mindful in her health and wellness. But at that time, she was kind of in this state of just worry about everything. Like, she couldn't hardly function. She wasn't eating right. She wasn't sleeping right. And that just sends you down this mental, stressful place that you can't really function in normal day to day.
Yeah.
So we had taken her to a mental health center. They sent her to ER to kind of make sure nothing was going on with her heart. And then they said she was good to go home with some anxiety medicine and get some rest and eat. So I did that. But then she had already gotten some medication at that mental health crisis center, that then when she woke up from a little nap, she was in a state of just complete disarray, not even herself. I was like, we got to take her back. So she went, and then she wasn't 18, so once we took her back, they kind of deemed her not able to sign a release of information. So I couldn't really get any information. So basically I had no contact with her for a week.
And she wasn't 18 at the time?
She was not. She was over 18. So once the kids are 18, you have no medical say. If you, even though they say, call my mom, if they deem you not in the right state of mind, then you can't get a hold of any information. They wouldn't even tell me that she was there when I took her there. I took her there. And so anyway, fast forward, that was January of 2023. And through that experience that was probably the darkest experience I've had in my life. I've been through a lot, been through my father dying at age 2 and my mom, having a lot of high stress in her life and trying to provide for little girls by herself. You know, going through a divorce, and then my mom going through a stroke, and then I'd been through a lot, but this definitely took the cake for me. Really challenged me spiritually to really open up myself to any intervention. Like, I am wide open for guidance. I need guidance at this time. I need to know how to get my daughter home to me, because I wasn't able to even speak to her, and we are very close. And so I had an experience, a spiritual experience that kind of, I feel like, catapulted me into that next level of spirituality. And we don't always stay there, but trials take us up into that area, and then we forget about them, and then we come back, and sometimes we go back into our lower energy states. But that kind of catapulted me up, and the experience was so vivid and strong that I can't help but love. Anything that comes into my life, I see it as a mirror or a messenger. And what am I supposed to learn from this trial? And since then, that's what, once I kind of went through a really intense prayer process, which happened to, I was praying every day for my daughter, and I went to see this naturopathic doctor for sleep aid because I wasn't sleeping because I was so stressed. And he talked to me spiritually. He's like, "Are you spiritual?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm very spiritual." And he just said, "Are you praying?" And I said, "Yes, I'm praying." And then he followed with a few other questions of, you know, are you praying out loud? And are you praying in the name of your Savior? And are you asking for protection from angels? And do you believe in angels? And, you know, my mom has passed, my dad has passed, my closest uncle has passed. Like, I definitely have angels in my life. And and I went home. I didn't think at that time maybe that I truly had the power to tap into that spirituality to that extent, to ask for, like, bring my daughter home.
Why do you think that you had that?
You know, I raised Mormon. I always really felt like I had to have the priesthood to do that, that I didn't have I didn't have my own internal power, that I needed to have the priesthood blessing. And at that moment, I didn't have a priesthood blessing at that moment. So I went home, and I thought, okay, this man has come into my life for a reason. And there was a series of events that I'm like, okay, my daughter, my sister gave me this blessing that was amazing. She doesn't hold the priesthood, and I slept 3 hours. And I was like, okay, I'm going in the right direction. And then I went and saw another therapist, and she gave me some tools, and that was the right direction. And then I went to the naturopath, and he gave me some tools, and I went home and did it. I was just open to whatever was being brought, because I just needed some answers. I needed to have some connection with my daughter. And I went home, and I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed for a good 6 hours, where I basically asked for everything. Like, I will go and do whatever you ask me to do. Whatever I'm called to do in this life, I will go and do. But I need to have my daughter get home to me. Like, it is not her time. And so 4 hours later, she called me on the phone. And she thought, I don't know what happened last night, Mom, but I think I hit my head or something, and I just, like, woke up. And it was, I'd never experienced anything like that before, and I just could not deny the divinity in that event. And so when I started to go down that road of, okay, I need to work on this corporate culture, connected corporate culture platform more, and how do I go about doing that? I need help, right? So I'm like, okay, I need help to go do that. And then that's when I got the ad about altar call. And I'm like, what? I don't know anybody in LA. I don't know anyone going to this event. It's in some man's house in Hollywood Hills. And I'm like, even my husband was like, where are you going? Who are you going with? And I'm like, I'm not going with anybody. How much did it cost? I'm like, well, I'm just using my business money, my marketing money, and I'm going all in.
Oh no.
But I have to go. Like, there's some reason I need to go to this event. So I book it, I show up, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen at this home, but
In the Hollywood Hills of
in the
all
Hollywood
places.
Hills.
There's some good things that have happened in the Hollywood Hills, my friends. Good. I've had good memories out there.
Yes. So, I mean,
Shout out, thank you, Ryan Blair.
Yes,
Thank you, Altar Call
great
team,
program.
for being you, for heeding the call yourselves and bringing together a massive amount of people that are all on this same journey. And what a blessing.
yeah.
How close did he live to Griffith Park and Hollywood Sign and the observatory?
I don't know. I don't know enough about Hollywood Hills.
Yeah,
to
me
know.
neither.
We'll think it later. Many memories up there.
I bet you do.
But everyone there was, very like-minded in this spiritual entrepreneurship movement,
Yeah.
and just greeted with so much love and positive energy.
Oh yeah.
That it was like I was on this
That's your tribe.
spiritual high
Yes.
of like,
For sure.
wow, these people are amazing. I met some just amazing individuals, but it was day 2, I think. Day 2 of the 3-day workshop where we kind of connected from across the room.
Yep.
And kind of we walked together and being redheads. And I'm like, I think the first thing out of my mouth was, who are you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like,
Yep,
who
it
are
was.
you? Because you look like my uncle, and you even have some
Absolutely.
similar mannerisms.
Yep.
And then you said that I looked like your sister.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
and you asked me, so what's your business? What do you?
what's it
And I
about?
said, connecting corporate culture. And you said,
I am putting together an operating system called the
connected.
Connected
Consciousness.
Consciousness. And she's like,
So-
what?
Yeah, and I'm like, wait, what? This is too crazy.
And where are you from again? Oh, wait.
Yes.
Gilbert. Wait, what?
And then now we both live in Gilbert.
Yeah.
We both are like natives to Arizona.
Lazy.
Raised in Mesa,
Go
a mile
to
from
the
Mesa.
yoga spot where I channeled
Same
in
yoga
so
studio.
much amazing
Same yoga
divine
studio
goodness.
for years.
Shout out to Yoga Spot.
Yes.
Love you guys.
Love that place.
Autumn,
And
you're bomb.
yes, so good. And we go to the same place. And then it went even further when we did a workshop for a church
Yes.
event for the youth in kind of connected consciousness, love and energy and emotional states of being.
I love it.
And found out that he used to live a mile from me
Yep.
in Gilbert
Right
for a
down-
few years,
right down
but
the
we
road.
never knew each other.
Right down the road. Well, and your uncle, Freddie, who just passed away.
Yes.
Rest in peace. We love you, Freddie. We know you've been a part of all of this. He and I had met in my office.
Right. You had known
how many
him,
months
and
ago?
you know
Yeah.
my cousin Eric.
And I know your cousin Eric. Yeah,
Yes.
Eric Gagan. So Gagan, right?
Yep.
So, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Wow. So divinity interlaced in all of it, and as I look back and reflect on, so that was and then my side of what was going on at that point in time, I was feeling this need to put on workshops. Like I needed to put on workshops to to create kind of a little bit of a movement in the real estate community of helping educate the real estate community on this concept of connected consciousness and how we can, and again through the altar call world, I was able to effectively articulate that like my why is to evolve transactional relationships into spiritual, harmonic, and energetic connections.
Yes.
And I didn't know that at the time we had met. I didn't know exactly how to articulate that, but I just was having this feeling of like, I need to put on these workshops. So I had these workshops already planned. I was like, yeah, I'm going to launch them in August and September. I had 2 other ladies that were going to help me do the yoga parts of it.
Yeah.
And both of them canceled. They backed out. And I was just like, what? All right, well, boom, plug and play. And so me and Raquel put on these workshops. And that's just the interesting part about it. Like both of us had been putting wheels in motion on doing these things. And we didn't know how it was going to all shake out. And we still don't. Every day is a new day. That's the beautiful thing about it. But what we do know is that the Almighty is interlaced in all of it.
Yeah.
And acknowledging that and seeing that is pretty special. It's really special.
I'll point out a couple of things that I noticed. Highlights. One, you needed to completely break and hit your reset. You needed to kind of hit your low.
Yeah.
That's one thing I want to point out. I've experienced it in my own life. I've heard you talk about it a lot. I've heard all the people talk about it a lot. God tends to allow you. He doesn't make it happen. He allows it to happen. Your choices and whatever the choices of others end up. You have to kind of hit your low, so then he can rebuild.
Yep.
He can build you bigger and better than he ever did before.
Yep.
You need to be 100% open, just like you were. I heard that. I pointed out.
Yes.
I'm like, the feeling of being 100% open, getting out of the rigid mindset of like, oh, I can only go down this path or this path. Like even having your sister give a blessing, like 100% openness to being able to find truth where you're going to find it.
Yes.
And then another thing I noticed was in the power of prayer, of being able to actually call upon God. I had a bishop. I still have a bishop. He's my bishop now. Shout out to Bishop Fisher, the GOAT. One of the best bishops I've ever had. I want to get him on the show. This dude's got wild stories.
Awesome.
He gave me an amazing thing where I'm going through my own stuff in my life recently, and he said something that is very similar to what I just heard you say, where he said, Chris, what did the sons of Mosiah do? He's all like, did the sons of Mosiah ask God, please do X, Y, Z to show me a sign?
Yes.
Did they ask God to just he kind of bless them and be vague? No, he said the sons of Mosiah had the faith that if they asked God to do X, Y, Z, that God would do it.
Yep.
And they prayed with that, and they literally converted tens of thousands.
Ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. Knock and you shall.
And that's kind of what I just heard you say you did.
Absolutely, very specific. And it's what we talk about in the C2A. Our mouth is and our hands are what we do with our hands, and the words we speak are how we create. The power of specificity and expressing what is in our heart, what desires we have in our heart, being able to express them in intentional words, intentional specific words.
Yes, and that's what I was missing. I didn't even realize that I was missing it, because maybe years ago I would have thought, what? I'm not going to call upon angels, I mean, that was years ago. I might have said that. And, it does when you are suffering so much and going through so much, and you just open up to whatever. And I'm like, whatever I need, bring it. I will do it. I will do it. And I felt the shift, not just twice, but so strong. Like the prayer when I'm just speaking inside like I normally do, my regular prayers, but when I switch to speaking out loud and using different language, it literally, felt it through every pore of my body.
Yeah.
The intensity of what I was asking and the belief and the faith behind it that I am going to get reconnected with my daughter, that everything's going to be okay, and for that sign that you talked about, that sign the next day is my daughter calling. I'm like, I'm on the right path. Yeah. She called me. Okay. Keep going, right? It doesn't stop there. She's still in mental health, care. It doesn't stop there. Every day I would drive to the facility that they took her to, and she never was suicidal. She was never harming anyone. She just needed help emotionally, but ended up getting admitted for like way too long. But every day I drove 45 minutes to the hospital that she was at to take vegan-friendly food to her, because she was vegan at the time, that was healthy, because I knew that she was not going to get the nutrition that she needed, probably, most likely. It was like white bread and macaroni and like tortillas with cheese on it and like nothing. But
And I love tortillas and cheese.
yes, actually she was vegan, so she didn't even eat cheese. So I'm like, okay, she's not getting the nutrition. So I would drive food to her every day and pray again out loud in the parking lot of the facility, and then call and let her know that I was there so she could feel my presence in the parking lot of the hospital.
Yeah.
And she said to me after the fact, she said, you know, Mom, I know you were not there with me, but I'm telling you right now, you were there every single moment, because I told myself, my mom taught me how to breathe. And as long as I'm breathing, I am living.
Yeah.
And so you were there with me. Every single breath I took, I was thinking about my mom. And to me, that was like this huge 360 of the power of presence and the power of right now. What can I do right now? And the power of now is through that breath.
Yeah.
And how much our breath can really calm the nervous system down and bring us back to a state of more peace and love and joy.
And I love that, because when you're in that place, that is what brings you to a place of creation
Yes,
instead of reaction.
correct.
Reaction, chaos. Creation, order. Right? When challenging things are happening that don't make logical sense, and there's chaos all around you, that breath is what brings you to a place where you can respond, you can create, because you are in a calm, collected, consciously connected headspace to be able to create. And that's one of the things that I'm like most excited about, to be able to roll out the C2 way to the world.
Yeah.
And especially to our kids, especially to our households. Our community as a whole is so disconnected because of so much chaotic energy that's running rampantly through our entire society. And at the end of the day, this divine curriculum that my life and my experience and your life and your experience has led to a place where it's now coming together for us to be able to get into the households of millions across the world, so that these simple daily practices can be a way to program these divine human bodies.
Yeah,
These most
yeah.
important assets that we have in our life. I love that I get to talk about assets still, and it's
Yeah.
just a different form of asset, right? Like, been in real estate my whole life, and I'm sitting here thinking, geez, yes, what is an asset? It's something you invest time, energy, effort, and money into that then either gives you a return or does the opposite, depending on how you care for it.
Well, bro, every subject matter is a subject matter created by God. He is the
Yes.
master of that subject matter.
Yes.
Even real estate is something he's a master of.
Absolutely.
To the natural aspect of the body.
Right. Well, because everything is, I mean, again, on this earth, everything is energy, right? Everything is energy, and ultimately these bodies, which are a divine temple that house our spirit, that makes the bodies move, as we understand how they work.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this system, this operating system, the C2 way. It creates awareness on the
Yes.
most simple levels that children can understand, because at the end of the day, we are all children. We learn like children, and it's designed to give, detailed information for those who want to go really deep on the analytical side. 26 years of practicing physical therapy and psychology classes to the nth degree to be able to understand all the physiology and science behind it. And yet, how I learn, which is visuals. Show me, tell me, show me visuals, and experience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's that blend of bringing our two worlds together, and the masculine and the feminine energy coming together, being able to, create this program that will transform how our society operates. once
And-
people understand.
Yeah,
How it works.
and with that, we both kind of discovered that power of yoking the mind, the body, and the heart through the practice of yoga. And it's interesting, being both of us raised LDS and part of that community and culture. I get a lot of times, how do you be a yogi and still have faith in the church? And that's a common question I get a lot. So that is something that I feel really passionate about, because yoga is not a religion. It's a philosophy. It's a way of living. It's yoking all of the goodness and all the truths together to make them stronger. And so I love that. And we both kind of found the power of the breath through yoga and that mindfulness. Because even though I was raised with health and wellness mom, that, the 6 best doctors in the world, a little mindful, a huge garden, huge garden, did not eat white bread, wanted white bread, did not eat it because my mom didn't buy it. But, I didn't know what I know now. And really it's that eating whole foods and being mindful of how you're sleeping and doing all those things. But I was checking all those boxes, but I was still stressed out.
Yeah.
Being a mom, being working, and then getting a divorce. I still had so much stress. I couldn't even entertain my friends over for dinner without having an anxiety attack, because I was wanting everything to be perfect. That kind of perfection syndrome, or it's never enough, and just go and go and go. That it wasn't until my mom had a stroke at a really early age at 61 that inadvertently kind of woke me up, saying, okay, you're exercising, you're maintaining a good weight, you're doing all the healthy practices, but you're still stressed. And stress is what wreaks havoc on our body.
Causes
Stress
dis-ease.
is what
Literally.
causes dis-ease. The lifestyle diseases that really are accounting for most deaths in the U.S.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so I ended up showing up at my first yoga class 22 years ago and not even knowing why I was going, but I followed a prompting of a lady that said, come and do yoga. And I go in and I'm like, I don't have a yoga mat. I was pulling out all the excuses. I don't have a yoga mat. I got to go in an hour. Oh yeah, class is 1 hour. And so it'll be a good workout, I promise. So I went for the workout and found myself leaving before Shavasana, which is the most important part of yoga, where you lay and integrate everything that you just did in the hour and lay still and do nothing. And I looked at the teacher and I said, thank you very much. I gotta go. The list of groceries and kids and all the things I need to do. I didn't even stay for Shavasana. And now I am comfortable in taking Shavasana in the middle of class, despite what the teacher's cueing. If I need Shavasana, I will take Shavasana. And so that's just takes time to get there.
Yeah.
But the transformation starts when you start.
Absolutely.
And so it's taking that first step into something a little different, making a commitment, being disciplined in the practices, that transformation can begin.
Yep, absolutely. I love, so my experience with yoga and it both led us to the same place, because we go back and talk about dis-ease, stress. I lived my whole life freaking high stress, always raised in, whatever, family, culture, whatever, that operates very high strung, which is great. You can get a lot done until you can't, because you're broken.
Right. Right.
and
that's all.
found myself very broken 5 years ago, and then thank you, Chris Stratton had introduced me to the practice of yoga about a few years prior to me, breaking everything in my life, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, the whole thing. But what was the key part of yoga, getting into that class that got me down this road of finding the peace, was every class I would go to, they would talk about every movement is tied to your breath, right? That's their whole, and they would refer to the ocean breath or the ujjayi. Like some people would refer to it, but most people don't even talk about that. They would just say movement with breath. And I would be like, but I'm confused. I don't know what you're talking about because I can't breathe. Mm-hmm. And it was that question in my mind of like, what does this talk about the breath? Combined with President Nelson's conference talk, April 2019 General Conference, helping me understand the root word for repentance in Greek language, metanoeo. Mm-hmm. When he gave that talk, meta means change, noeo means even the very way we breathe, right? So breath, mind, knowledge, and spirit. And when he gave that talk, I was just like, huh. And then it was 3 years or a year and a half later, finding myself in a yoga class and I was in a Shavasana pose, and his words came back to mind. And I'm like, wow, breath. That's it. That is the key component to stepping out of stress, removing cortisol from the system, mm-hmm. which, I mean, at that moment in time, I didn't know yet, but I was like, okay, I get it. There's a link here to the breath, which then set me on this journey to understand the breath. And you and I are both probably one of the most passionate people that I know about the breath, that love the breath and the science and physiology behind it. And that was the irony, because I went down this road of learning all the physiology and the science and whatever around the breath. And I'm like, cool, I got all this knowledge, but I'm a real estate guy. Like, who's going to actually look at me and like take me with any level of credibility? I'm like, well, I've practiced it, I've experienced it, and I know it. And yet now, that yoking, right? Because we talk about yoking, right? And yoking is, the word yoga means to yoke or to unite. And ultimately, when you understand the breath, you're yoking and uniting your heart and your mind, creating an electromagnetic connection. And that union not only has happened within ourselves, both on our own paths, but it's also what has yoked both of us to be able to come together and bring our collective experience and our collective knowledge and our collective understanding.
Yeah.
Of
And
these concepts.
it's funny because 10 years ago, when I was really getting into breath work even more, probably started 15 years ago, because yoga was 20 years ago, so about 15 years, and then I went and did my professional yoga therapy certification to kind of blend physical therapy and yoga together as a healing practice. And I was thinking, nobody is talking about breath work as much as I love breath work. Like 15 years ago, it wasn't as talked about as it is now.
Yeah,
like you hear a lot more about it now, and I was kind of thinking, is there even a market for this? Like, who's going to really be passionate about the breath? Like, mm-hmm. I'm super passionate about the breath, and I thought nobody is going to be as passionate about the breath as I am. And I was teaching breath workshops for several years, community classes, and teaching people about the power of the breath and how it affects the pelvic floor and how it affects our nervous system and how it affects every single system of our body, immune system, lymphatic system, reproductive system. It affects every single system, cardiovascular, in our whole body. And then I met Danny, and I'm like, oh, someone else is as passionate about the breath as I am. So that's been amazing to work together.
Yep.
That is amazing. I just learned about breath actually I first heard about it through Chris Powell.
Yeah.
He did a post
Shout
about
out to Chris, you're going to be on this podcast too, bro.
He did a post where he did a breathwork thing with someone like a year and a half ago. Okay. And I was like, the freak is breathwork?
Yeah.
Fast forward like a year and a half later, this guy's like showing me the ropes on it. I just point out something though for both of you guys of ever getting those moments of feeling of like, who am I to be the one to deliver the message to the world? God literally used Saul, who killed the prophets, to then become a prophet.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So he can use anybody.
Absolutely.
To deliver a message.
I think that's an empowering thought process for everybody, because everybody is here on this earth for a purpose.
Yes.
Like there's no question that every single one of us has a divine purpose here on this earth. And it is up to us to understand what that is. And the way to be able to understand what that is you have to be able to listen. Not just with your ears. Sometimes it comes audibly, most of the time not. But like listen with your heart, having an open heart and an open mind. And that's where, when I started learning about the physiology and the science of the breath and what it does, how it takes you out of analytical and survival centers and opens up your frontal lobe and right hemisphere, and all of a sudden turns on all these parts of the brain that we don't use. And I'm sitting here being like, and why in the world does every single child that come into this world not understand these concepts? Like, that's where I became so passionate about this curriculum needs to get into every household in America and across the world, so that people can understand the power that we have within us.
Yeah.
Yes.
To be able to open those parts of the body, because ultimately our body is a receptor. Our brain is it's an antenna. We receive from the Almighty, from the Creator, when we are connected. And
That's the C2A does, is it connects you to be able to hear.
that's what it does. That's what it does. And it is, and I am a passionate dude. Whatever I'm in on, I'm freaking all in on it. So you better make sure I'm like pointing in the right direction. Or I better make sure I'm pointing in the right direction.
Yes.
It
Yes.
Can get a little wild if I'm not.
And I'm a big believer on that whole, like, pointing in the right direction. And as you're making steps and you're getting signs and the synchronicities start to happen, and you're like, wait a second, there's too many synchronicities. There's not in a bad way, in a good way. You're like, wait a minute, I must be on the right path, because the synchronicities and the signs keep happening over and over and over. And that's when you say, why not me?
Absolutely.
Literally.
You say,
why not me? Exactly.
why me, or who am I to say? Not to be like this, super guru or whatever. I'm just, for me in my life, it's been transforming in how I cope with stress and anxiety of hard challenges. And every time I do something hard, I think, okay, so those other things weren't so hard. I prepared for 2 years, the last 2 years, and just hiked Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa.
Congratulations. That's
And-
Badass, by the
That's
way. I'm not
awesome.
gonna lie, that's badass. That's badass.
It's
What is it?
incredible.
18,000?
19,341
Dang.
is the top, a woohoo point.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's friggin'
And-
shit.
Badass woman.
And still, right, you prepare for 2 years to go,
Yeah.
and then the month before, you make your hip mad, and it's mad to the point where you can't hardly walk, and you're
Dang.
thinking, oh no, am I not supposed to be going to Africa? Nope, I need to do the work. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to keep on my plan. I go anyway, and then you get a little GI bug, and then you're like, oh no, I'm not sleeping all night. How am I going to climb for 10 hours tomorrow with 2 hours of sleep? You pray. You do the work,
Yep.
and you take a step, and you take a breath,
Yep.
and you take another step, and you take another breath.
Yep.
It's one at a time.
One step and one breath at a time, you can make it. You can make it to the summit. You can make it to the top.
Yep.
And
Yep.
when you have guides in your life, and I came to this realization, I learn something new every time I hike a mountain. And I came to this realization that there's so many guides in our life, right? First and foremost, the Savior, your divine creator, whoever that is in your life, in your religion. And then you have that connection, that guide within your own self, the I am within yourself. And then you have your parents who love you and want to see you exceed. You have church leaders that love you and want to see you exceed. And then you go on a big trip like Kilimanjaro and you have guides who have done it 50 and 26 times before you. And you learn to listen to all of those things and follow the guidance of those who have gone before you in order to reach your goals.
Yep.
So I love that. I love the cultural immersion of experiencing, Africa completely in service, in mission, and in the climb.
That's so cool.
That's
So-
incredible.
I love, one of the things as you were talking is and I've seen it so many times in my life, of people that get brought, like you talk about guides. I've had so many people that have come into my life who have been there to guide me and to, say what I needed to hear, or be able to help me in whatever way. And it's like, once you start recognizing and realizing that's non-coincidental, right? Those people are coming into your life for a purpose and a reason. Surrender Experiment, that book is amazing. Michael
Yes.
Singer helped me see that even more clearly as I've been going through this evolution. And the more you sit in that, the more you recognize and realize that, and again, the more you're open to that, the more you're able to see the angels around us, both in the physical form and sometimes not in the physical form. You can feel them.
And they'll come all over the place, dude. It could even be a baby.
Yes.
Like it's my son. I've seen freaking
absolutely
been literally divine multiple times.
Had multiple similar experiences with all my children, but most recently with my daughter May, my youngest. Same thing. What an angel who came into my life at such a needed moment in time. As Jay is your little homie right now, as you're going through a tough time. But yeah, it's really cool to see the hand of the Almighty Creator interlaced through all of our lives as we choose to acknowledge it, right? And thankfully, our world is going through a shift. The shake-up in our world is happening so that we can see more clearly, those who choose to see it that way, the divine Creator in their own lives, shaping and molding.
Well, and I love that too. Michael Singer, also The Untethered Soul, and his newest book, Living Untethered.
Yes, I need to read that.
Love. And in that, it reiterates the concept of our lens, like that child's lens, or the lens in which we look at life as it flows, and from moment to moment. We are coming in and out of moments all of our life. And if we come into a moment or a situation and we have these preconceived expectations, or in Buddhism, attachments, and we're attached to a specific outcome, it leads to more disappointment or unhappiness because we have this expectation. So in the book, he uses the example of going to the ocean and you want to see the whales, and you go and you want to see the whales, but at the moment you go, the whales are not there because the whales come and go. And so if you go at a moment where the whales aren't there, you might go home thinking, oh, I didn't see the whales, and now the trip was ruined. When there was so much beauty that you didn't notice because you were hyper-focused on a lens of just the whales instead of the whole beauty of the earth and the ocean and all the other animals you got to see in the experience or the adventure. And so I love that, in staying open in our perceptions and non-attached to a specific outcome, because sometimes what the Lord has in store for us differs than what we have in store for our own life. And so we have to learn to surrender and accept what is.
I love that you just said that. And this is the foundational statement, mantra, whatever you want to call it, that you both hear me say all the time. And everybody that is around me hears me say this all the time. We address the Creator, whatever you want to call your Creator, and we acknowledge that they are the fountain of life and eternal support. And we submit our will to their will. And we ask that their will be our will. And we ask for strength, we ask for courage, we ask for all those things that we need in order to accomplish the will of the Almighty for the greater good of all mankind.
Yes.
Because we are in the business of healing hearts. That's what we do in every aspect of our life. That is, we come with open hearts of saying, how can I give? How can I serve? How can I help? How can I uplift? All in line with the will of the Almighty. Because when we put the will of the Almighty first and foremost to ours, then we're removing that asphyxiation on or attachment towards some
goal
outcome. And it's what a peaceful way to live life, right? Like it's not hard. I mean, excuse me, it's not always easy.
No.
It is challenging. It is very challenging. Life is hard, but yet it's so simple. But we have to continuously, every day of our life, be tried and challenged and be in it. And the more you move in that direction, the more opposition comes.
Yes.
And it's like, awesome. Love this, to be able to just be present.
That ego is always there. So we can learn to work with our ego. And I like to see ego, that's also a term that I learned in yoga study, is that ego is edging God out. And so when we know that something might be good. I mean, 20 years of yoga practice, and I still have to battle the ego sometimes.
Absolutely.
As in this recent hike I did. I carry my pack all the time, and I'm going to summit with my backpack. But because I had a hip injury or flare up a month before and just finished a dose pack of meds 2 days before I started my climb. I just finished this steroid dose pack for my hip flare up.
Yeah.
And everything was telling me, give up your pack, hire a private guide to carry your pack. That's 15 less pounds to put on your hip when you just are healing your hip.
Yep.
And I still was like, but I need to summit with the backpack on, or else I didn't really truly summit. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
It's the ego.
That's my ego.
It's the ego.
And my Heavenly Father was telling me, just give the pack up. My guide was saying, give the pack up.
Yeah.
Myself as a physical therapist, knowing that I need to give my pack up because my hip.
But the ego.
But my ego kept saying, oh, you could probably do it.
Oh, man.
And then I just said, listen to everyone around
Yeah.
you and get out of the ego.
Yeah.
And so we battle it every day.
Well, and I love
we
that
battle
I
it.
love that you just brought that up. Listen to everyone around you. That's why
Yes.
we have our wives and our husbands and our significant other and our children and everybody
Our
in our
friends and our
Yeah,
coworkers.
friends and like they are our reflection. They help
We can
us
learn
see if
something.
we correct.
And
we
I would-
choose to hear them.
And I would say this, sorry, I would say the life is actually easy and simple. It is the ego and it is Satan that is what makes it hard.
Yes.
And if we can remove that out of life, it actually is easy and simple. Because that's what makes life very complicated.
Absolutely.
It's about learning to manage those lower energies. So they can come and they can go, but not getting stuck or trapped
Yes.
in those lower energies.
Yeah.
And learning to ascend the energy through the breath and learning to,
Makes it easy, yeah.
allow ultimately the divine within us and whatever divine creator you believe in to guide you
Absolutely.
and to listen.
That's it.
Well, we've had a good time here. We've been loving listening and talking, and we always like to end episodes with the guest getting to shout out and highlight something that we haven't already talked about. So, I mean, we're not saying unless you want to, but let this be an opportunity to shout out a person, place, thing, idea that you haven't already shouted out, highlighted, given some time to. Take the floor.
I guess my biggest shout out that I didn't mention yet would be my mentor in professional yoga therapy, which would be Ginger Garner in medical therapeutic yoga, who is a physical therapist, athletic trainer. She created the curriculum to bring yoga to transform healthcare by bringing yoga into the medical disciplines
She
like
local?
nursing. She's in I think North Carolina. But she has online courses that you can take if you're a healthcare provider and you want to blend yoga into your own medical practice that you do. She's got fantastic courses and a great platform of education. I'm doing her integrative lifestyle medicine certificate. She's amazing and my mentor in medical therapeutic yoga, which is what brought me to where I am now in my own business of medical yoga pro and longevity and lifestyle systems for abundant living. So
I love it. And of course, her name is Ginger.
Ginger
Yes.
Garner, yes.
Shout out to Ginger.
Shout out to Ginger. We would love to have
Yes.
Ginger on our podcast.
Yeah,
someday.
she's
That would be
amazing.
Shout out to Dr. Ginger.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, we love you. I love you so much. I'm grateful for
Thank
you.
you.
I'm grateful that you've spent some time here with us, and yeah, appreciate you bringing all of your whole life experience to what we have going on. I mean, what it's done, like for the Perk Prop organization and the countless other ventures that are happening right now in real time, to see, and more than anything, like what it's done for me in my life is I've been able to, like, one, embodying it, but then be able to like formulate it into more of an organized, orderly structure and flow that runs top to bottom from
Yes.
crown to root. Like I just walked through that with my son this morning. It was just amazing. We went through and had a moment together, and I was able to help him see, and starting from top to bottom of meditation and wisdom reading and journaling and breath
Yes.
and nutrition. What are we putting into our bodies, right? And movement with breath and ice and heat. And it's just like that visual that you've been able to help pull all that together is just, it's amazing. So grateful for you.
So I'm grateful to be here as well and work together on this healing hearts and creating love magnets.
Creating love magnets.
Love it.
We do. We fabricate love magnets. Hearts popping.
Yeah.
One love.
One love. One life.
Let's get together and feel alright.
Hear the children crying. One
love.
Hear the children crying. One love. Give
Strength and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright.
Singing, let's
Get together and feel alright. We have to end it.
here and for getting together and for feeling all right.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Love you.